if you have a son and he's 16 or he's any age and you love him, you would get, and he was like, Dad, I want to get a sport bike. You get him something like this. What's up, guys? Sean here from Srkcycles.com with a 2015 Yamaha R3, and I'm pretty pumped. I'm pumped to take it for a spin. I'm actually really excited. This would be a great bike if you wanted to like drag some knee or do something cool like that. This would be a great track bike for someone who's not trying to kill themselves, like all these guys running like leader bikes. So the biggest thing about this is, you know, let's figure out, how does this compare with the other small bikes? And the first thing about it is, how do I drop my visor? The first thing about it is, this bike, unlike the Ninja, this is a brand new design. They weren't like using the old engine from the bike that they made in 1986. It's a brand new design, you know, so it's the first one was fuel injected. You gotta appreciate that. Going left. Turning left. The clutch is super light. Throttle's light too. Like, you can floor it and it's not gonna, I didn't die. I didn't pop the front end up. If you really want to pop the front end up, you can. You could dump the clutch at like red line and you could definitely get the front end up. That's no problem. The bike's nice and quiet. It's got a great sound to it. Super nimble. I mean, you could have a blast just dragging knee on this thing. A bike like this, it's like the Miata of motorcycles, because it's small, it's cheap, but you can max it out. You know, it's definitely fun, it's gonna handle good, but you could actually take it to its max. You could, you know what I mean? You can hit a corner going as fast as you possibly can, or you can redline through all the gears and you've still barely broken the speed limit. And that's the cool thing about the Yamaha R3. I tried to do a stoppie real quick. It was pretty sick. Oh, it also has a gear indicator. That's awesome. So this bike has 322 miles on it. And this test drive will put another couple miles. No big deal. Actually, this bike is sold. I may have priced this bike out a little too cheap, but we got it going. Up here, we'll jump on the highway and see how this thing runs on the highway. To answer everyone's big question, is an R3 big enough for a man? Built for a man, made for a woman. No. Now these things are great. These, you know, this bike's built, if you have a son and he's 16 or he's any age and you love him, you would get, and he was like, Dad, I want to get a sport bike. You get him something like this. He'll have a great time riding this thing. He'll have a great time learning the mechanics of it, and he's not gonna die. And also, I mean, yeah, it's a small displacement motor, but it's got decent power. And it's still a sport bike, so it's still geared. You know, this thing will cruise at 90, 100, 120 miles an hour probably, with very little issues. it doesn't look old. Well, it's not old. That's the one thing about you know, you jump on like an 07 Kawasaki Ninja and you're like, wow, I'm driving a 1986 Kawasaki Ninja. This thing actually picks up pretty good, and it's got a gear, it's got a shift light indicator. It's also a 6-speed, because it's got the 6-speed gearbox in there. I totally just lost my ghost. Alright, so I'm cruising highway speeds. I'm in top gear. It's had a nice 6,000 RPMs, which for a sport bike is pretty low. And the bike is comfortable. I mean, it's absolutely comfortable. I could probably be in 4th gear and it still feel pretty good. Now, it looks like my speedometer says I'm going 70, 69, and I'm still, I mean, this is effortlessly cruising at this speed. I would feel more comfortable cruising this bike at 80 than I would a V-Star 650 cruising at highway speed. Not that, I mean, you watch the video, they do a great job at it. But this one's just geared so much taller. It's also a pretty light bike. Sorry, excuse me, I just kind of burped in my mouth. It's also a pretty, it was my beard. It's a pretty light bike. It weighs in at 370. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, hey, my R6 weighs in only 30 pounds more than that, 40 pounds more than that. But it's a much bigger bike. Why is that? Well, to keep a bike at this price limit, you know, they're going to use like a steel swing arm and stuff like that. They're not using super light components. Very, very nimble. You would have so much fun on a bike like this, just like shredding up the dragon tail. I'm trying to get Caleb to drive right here so I can get that angle of me being behind him. I'm trying to get this angle right here where you see me riding this beast of a bike. So I'm gonna get on it on this on-ramp and we'll see if Caleb's gonna get on it on this on-ramp and we'll see if I can keep up, or maybe I could even overpass him. Oh no, I stalled. I tried to leave in 4th gear. Even though my bike is significant, my bike is half the size, the displacement size of that DRZ. There's the DRZ, and I am the whole way up here. The DRZ is fun, but this is the heart. This is the sport bike, and it's tuned that way, and it's tuned for speed, and it's actually a it's an inline twin. So unlike its big brothers where they're inline 4s, this is an inline twin. I like this bike. Now I'm in 6-speed. I'm cruising, it's comfortable. I love the ergonomics. They're clip-ons, but they're a little set up a little bit higher than the forks are. The gauge cluster is real nice. It shows your temperature. It shows your fuel, how much fuel you have. Looks like I'm almost on empty. Big tachometer. I really like it. It's a good riding bike. It's very comfortable. It's super nimble. Something that you can feel comfortable letting your kid buy and drop like 20 times in your driveway. They're probably not that many people are gonna kill themselves on this bike. which is super cool. I think I just ran out of gas. I'm really low on fuel. I better fill this up before this kid buys it. Alright guys, that wraps up the test drive. It's a great bike. Currently, out of all the small little bikes, you know, the CBR 250 and I think there's a 300 now, and the Kawasaki Ninja 300, I like this one the best. Although I haven't ridden the KTM 390, and I think that might be the best. But you can't beat this price. Alright guys, that wraps it up. Remember, it's not what you're riding, but where you're going. And we'll see you guys later. Don't forget, subscribe, watch some other videos, and then subscribe again. Subscribe twice. Alright guys, we'll see you later.